Alright, so sorry if there's wind noises in the background, but you should still be able to hear me pretty amazingly. So it's been several months since I recorded the last video that got uploaded. Really not, well, somewhere between a lot and not much has happened. Some mix of both, I think. So first of all, I guess I should explain the main problem with the old setup, or the new old setup, I don't know. The setup that I used over the summer. It is now fall, and I think you missed the entirety of late summer. But whatever. The problem with that old setup was, well, there's a couple of problems. First things first, all the videos and all the stock footage and all the different stuff was all on my laptop, and that was a problem. I actually ended up backing it all up onto this old 500 gigabyte external hard drive I have, like right before that laptop, before it lemoned out, is the phrase I heard, before it died anyways. And the thing is, on top of that, the only way I really had to record videos was to bring my laptop and my webcam and to basically turn it on, plug in the webcam and point it at something and then talk, well, plug in a microphone. Yeah, and I guess I should address that. That setup didn't really work. So what I ended up doing was I got a external camera. If you want to know the kind, it's a Sony Action Cam AS20. I got it refurbished at like half its normal price. So yeah, it was a solid buy, and thus far it's been giving me pretty great footage. Also, I recently upped the, as to that video, the reason that you're watching, listening to, I don't know, this video rather than that one is because that one I was just, well, I was rambling. I know I always ramble. I'm rambling right now, but I was really rambling, and I was trying to justify it all because it was these purchases were brand new purchases. These things that I had got for this channel were brand new to me, and they were expensive. And I was thinking, and at that point I was still trying to, well, I was imagining these arguments with people in my head, like, oh, why would you spend any money whatsoever on a channel that's gotten no views that you can prove aren't from sub to me because I commented on your video, robots. Why would you spend money on a channel like that? And pretty much the answer came down to because I like making the videos. And I know, like, every YouTuber with their millions and millions of subscribers always says, like, oh, don't make YouTube videos if you don't just like doing it. But at a certain point, that's not a real argument. Most people would still make videos if they hated doing it. In fact, I'm certain that with the number of YouTube channels that have millions of subscribers, there's at least 100 people doing that. And, well, it just, I was trying to justify it. What it really comes down to, though, is at this point, I've had this stuff in my possession for like 2 months, or something like that. And, well, 2 months, it's been enough time to convince me that these things were, well, I was convinced when I bought them that they were good purchases, but it's been enough to convince me that I don't need to feel guilty for purchasing something that I feel is at least a good idea, if not, you know, it's not necessary in the same way that, like, oxygen is, but it's necessary in the same way that something that I feel is important to something I enjoy. I guess that's the best way I can put it. It's psychologically important. yeah, so that's pretty much what that came down to, and that's a 6-minute video summarizing what was a 39-minute video. I guess for the rest of this video, I'll talk about the stuff that I've decided since then. First thing, I had been recording, well, I had no choice. My webcam that I was recording all my stock footage with was a 720p webcam. I think it wasn't even that good of a 720p webcam. But it was like 30 FPS or something. And so when I got my camera, for a while I was recording at that level. In fact, but I recently decided to get a bigger SD card for my camera. The initial one I got for it was 32 gigabytes, and that recorded something like if that was 32 gigabytes, was something like 17 hours of 720p footage, 30 FPS. But I decided that, well, at that point I had been thinking like, well, I just don't need it, and the file sizes are just insane. Like with that SD card, by the way, I went and got another external hard drive, but newer one. I actually spent less on it than I spent on my old one, but I bought that thing a long time ago, and it was supposed to be 6 terabytes, or it was supposed to be 6 terabytes, but they sent me the wrong one, so I have to send it back and tell them, like, no, I did not pay this money for the 4, I spent it on the 6. So 6 terabytes should, like, it's insane to me, considering my 500 gigabyte thing. When I got that, I was like, oh, that's all I'm gonna ever need. But now I'm looking at this 6, or I'm looking at the idea of having a 6 terabyte thing and thinking, in 5 years, is this gonna be the same as my 500? Is this gonna be a good amount, but like just barely? And in 5 years, is 500 gigabytes gonna be nothing? What kind of video resolution am I gonna have to record then? But, well, mostly what, so mostly the thing is I decided that I should up the footage quality. And that's from 17 hours on 32 gigabytes, or no, I wasn't, 17 hours was the other thing. This was 11 hours of 720p footage at 30 FPS. Now I decided to up the footage only recently. I have a whole bunch of stock footage that I'm probably still going to use. It's not, the quality isn't like super noticeable, or it's not even that vaguely noticeable. It's just one of those little quality things which overall makes the whole product better. That said, I still have something like 90 hours or something of footage, which, yeah, 90 hours. That's one problem I wanted to bring up with my old laptop. With that old setup, recording, my laptop would die. If I had a full charge, it would die after 2 hours. And that's the best case scenario. Chances are I would have been using it during the day, considering that's why you have laptops. I might have forgotten to charge it. So it was rare that I would have a solid, that solid time. What was happening, what I was doing was I was getting to the point where I was just charging up for the exclusive purpose, knowing I would carry it around on my backpack, in my backpack, on my bike, carry around this weight all day, just so that I could set it park somewhere, set it up and record, and that was the sole purpose. Now, not like first world problems to the extreme, I get it, but it wasn't a functional setup. Not to mention it was wearing down my laptop, and that's probably why it broke after only having it for like a year and a half. It was like the screen got scratched at some point during the summer, twice actually. It had a whole bunch of problems. At one point the battery died because I'd been turning it on and turning it off way more than usual for a laptop, and like draining the battery. Anyway, so I had to order a new battery, although that was actually only like a $30 fix, or I think $35. But, well, it just didn't work, that setup. And, okay, as to the, well, I was going to, at the beginning of this, I was like, all right, this is going to be a better video. You're not going to ramble. You're just going to go straight to the point and explain updates. And now I'm at what, 11:27, and I keep switching topics back and forth. Yeah, so back to the camera thing. I was recording 720p. Now I am recording with the newest stock footage is being recorded at 1080p with 60 FPS. But the thing is, that 32 gigabyte SD card, which had recorded 11 hours at the previous setting, now got switched over to only recording 2 hours. It was 2 hours and 48 minutes. If you can believe that, from 11 hours to 2 hours, that's the difference between 720p and 1080p file sizes. But I got the 200, and I'm hoping, yeah, so I got the 200, and now I can record a solid 17 hours at that high quality. That was more than I could have recorded at 720p with the old one. Honestly, though, I think if I went back to 720p at this point, I could record like a week straight if I had the battery life for it, which is another thing. My battery backup broke, although I was planning on upgrading it anyways. At some point, it broke, or it kind of broke. I can still use it, but you can't charge it back up anymore, so it's just kind of stuck at like 60% charge. And I'm kind of at this point just going to put it somewhere and use it as an emergency flashlight for the little flashlight thing it has on it, just because the battery that's in there could probably run that little flashlight for like a week. So yeah, so a one-off if emergency where I need to charge my phone to call like the police or something, or a flashlight kind of thing. So if there's like a power out or something. Yeah, so yeah, it's just that the next thing is that videos. I didn't stop making, at least writing down video ideas, and the result is like, I think I have like 60 or something written down. I ended up taking a couple out and putting them, there's going to be videos which I make exclusively for the archive channel, just because I don't, I wrote them down and then I never even got to recording them before I completely changed my opinion. I'll probably still record them more or less, but I'm just going to put them straight on the archive channel. Until now, that channel was just for videos that didn't upload properly, or for videos that had been recorded and made but became pointless later. Like the first video on that channel was a video that I had completely edited and made, and then talked about the exact same thing in another video more efficiently, along with other topics. And then the second one was that project therapy thing, 'cause for whatever reason it just stopped uploading at 2 minutes, and I didn't realize, but then I guess Google accepted it, or YouTube accepted it and made it a video, just cut off at 2 minutes. So I put some annotations on there to link you over to the archive video, and yeah. But those videos will go straight there. The thing is, I ended up moderately recently, like maybe, I want to say a week ago, maybe 2 or 3, organizing my, I had 3 bundles of paper where I had recorded my ideas, or my videos that I wanted to make, and then there was also one for, well, it started out as the remainder for a journal, then it became this next project, which I'll talk about after this part. And then the third part was videos that were kind of written out, but I wasn't really sure what I wanted, what my point was, or maybe I knew what my point was, but I didn't know how to explain it, or maybe I knew both of those things, but I didn't know how to prove it, or how I should talk about it. So that was those bundle of videos. That's actually the smallest one, because usually when I think of a video idea, the majority of the time, it's just in my head, and maybe I don't know when I start, but certainly by the time I'm done writing it, writing down the idea for the video, it's a solid idea with arguments and stuff and reason, and probably a lot of grammatical errors, given that's not I think the majority of my video things don't have periods or commas in them. Just because when I'm writing fast, I tend to not think about that kind of stuff. It's just get words to paper. Anyways, those things just get basically either thrown away or shoved in an old bag when I make the video for them, because there's no point. The next thing is, the second bundle I mentioned of paper was my journal. I still have my journal, and I still have my other part of the journal, which was I tried to do a thing where I wrote down the phrases and poetry, pretty much. It's my version of poetry. I don't feel entirely comfortable calling it poetry, or at least I didn't when I was making it. But because I would go to like I've been to poetry slams, and I see these talented people pouring their, well, some of them are just, you know, pay attention to me, I'm good with words kind of people, but but the good ones were people pouring their heart out and doing so in an amount of words that took them like 3 to 5 minutes to read. And I've had presentations like that. That's something like 500 words. And the thing is, these things I'm thinking up, these phrases, these ideas that are good enough on their own without being videos, it would be pointless. In fact, it would take away from them to make them into videos. I was calling them phrases for a while, but the main problem with them is that they're like a sentence or a paragraph or something like that. A very tiny selection of them are like 2 paragraphs. In fact, a couple at the beginning were like 3 words. Way back when I was writing in my journal. That was one of the things, if I thought of a clever phrase, I'd write it in the journal, and then that would be my day's entry. But, well, it just sort of didn't. Well, anyways, I've talked before about how that journal stopped being a thing, really, and this channel took over. But the thing is, I still had all these phrases, these poems, these Hess poems. Hey, that might be okay. Well, the thing is, and I was wanting to make videos out of them, but I wouldn't know how to do it because there's a lot of them, and they'd be like a 3-second video. There'd be no point in even making an intro or an outro, because just the time to edit the videos, which wouldn't be much on like a 30-second video, but even that amount of time would be a waste, or it wouldn't be worth it, just because why waste time, why spend the 1.5 minutes or whatever of rendering a video like that just so that it can go from like, I'd have like 2 seconds of intro, 2 seconds of outro, 15 seconds of video, if that. What'd be the point? So chances are I'd want to upload them pretty much just straight. And, well, they would be so short. The edge of what I'm willing to upload and count as a full video is the quick updates. And that's the only reason the quick updates count is because that's just basically vlogs in which I want to talk about one thing, not briefly, but I want to explain it well without rambling on about 10 different subjects like a video like this one. That's what I am basically wanting the Neo vlogs to be, the rambling videos where I talk about 8 things, and none of them really in an order, and with the quick updates just being, here's this one thing, I'm going to explain it enough so that you understand it, but not go overboard with it. Not go into other topics. So the thing about these videos is they wouldn't be long enough. So there's basically 2 options. Option 1, which is the option I thought I would go with for a long time, and I'm still not completely sure I shouldn't go with, but I think is probably the less likely option now, is that I would upload them around the normal videos. So maybe once a week at Sunday at midnight, so that my upload schedule would be Monday video, Thursday video, Sunday night, Saturday or Monday morning. No, it would be Saturday night, Sunday morning video, so that it would only be 2 days, and then 2 days, and then 3 days separating a video. Although the poetries would only count as sort of a video. But the thing is, aside from the fact that that would be really weird to work out, because I have to upload stuff in the order it appears that it's released. I don't have to, but it won't. YouTube doesn't reorder that. So if I don't do that, I'm gonna mess up the upload order. I'm gonna forget what's what, and for organization's sake, I have to upload them in the order that I'm gonna release them. I probably won't be able to maintain that forever, but as long as I can. So the next option was is to create a new channel. I know it seems kind of funny to have 3 channels when your first one doesn't have anything other than what I put on it. There's no basically no one's watching it. I've gotten my few one-off comments, mostly just people saying like, hey, you're a little channel, which means if I comment on your video and pretend to have liked it, you'll subscribe to whatever I link, which is usually Instagram for some reason. I didn't know that was a thing. Go to small YouTube channels and ask them to follow your Instagram, but I don't even have an Instagram, so it doesn't matter. Couldn't even if I was the kind of person to do that kind of stuff. And at first I was like, oh, this is a legitimate thing. I made a video about it. I was like, oh, this is a legitimate thing. The first 2 or 3 actually were people who were claiming they would shout me out and get me 100 subscribers, even though it looked like, well, both of them had like a very exact number of subscribers, or an almost exact, so you could tell. I went to one of the shout out videos and it was just a black screen. Then for about 5 seconds, 3 channel names came up and then it stopped. And that video had like 100 views. And those 100 were apparently all people in the comments saying, I thought you would shout me out. So I figured out that ruse pretty quickly. And the way you do it is by subscribing to their Facebook or liking their Facebook, or following it, and following their Twitter and subscribing to their YouTube. Usually that was the ordeal. And you could really tell with their subscribers because it was something like 5,012. And it was kind of obvious, like, well, here's 5,000 purchased subscribers and 12 people who subscribed thinking they would get shouted out. So anyways, after that it was a whole bunch of ads. So why would I want to create a third channel when my first one has so little traction? Well, it mostly comes down to the fact that that's the only way I can think it would fit. I would create the third channel, and maybe I'd release the videos every day, but I would run out of them pretty quickly. Maybe I'd release them once a week, but then I'd have like a 5-year backlog, but I guess that's okay. I think that's probably my plan. So yeah, that's the poetry channel, or the art channel, I don't know. So the thing is, I also do, I sometimes draw stuff. I don't know if that would count. I've also got, I don't know, I feel like maybe I shouldn't just call it poetry, because then maybe I'm confining that channel to be just that one series. Maybe I should call it art and then call the series poetry. But either way, I'll call it something something artistic. And then I'll upload those videos probably once a week now that I think about it. I don't mind the 1.5-year backlog I'll probably get. Yeah, so that channel's probably never going to get traction, even if Hasemage does, because the videos will be, well, you know, I'll give it 1080p footage, and oh, that's another thing. It's getting towards winter. We actually had a snowstorm recently, although just a one-off and then it melted, thankfully. But yeah, the days are getting way shorter. It's like 7 o'clock and it's pitch black right now. But yeah, I don't know what's the best thing to record my 1080p footage, but I think the best plan is there's usually about an hour, hour and a half that's technically considered twilight, and I'll probably record that. You know, a lot of people consider mostly just twilight to be like that half-hour period right before and right after the sun goes down and the sky goes all crazy, but I guess there's something called civil twilight and the blue hour, neither of which are an hour, which are the times when it is, I believe it's the lightest part of the twilight, when the sun is still at, like you can still see the sun, but it's at the edge of the horizon. And blue hour is when the sky is, you know, when it's at a angle just so that you can see you can't see the sun anymore, but there's still some light in the sky, and that twilight effect where like the sky is still bright, but you can't see the ground, that effect is, I think, most prominent then. So yeah, I think I'll try to record those bits, and yeah, pretty much record those bits, and then I'll record it in 1080p footage, or actually I have a function for 720p 120 FPS, although that's a slow motion mode. I think if I speed it up 4 times, it'll just be crazy high quality. I mean, it'll still be 720p, but it'll be 720p real, like it'll be lifelike. So I might do that for poetry. Either way, I'll do something like that, and then I'll probably just make like, or maybe I'll pick from one of my 720p footages that I like the best, and I'll use that, because like these videos will be 30 seconds long. So in 2 years or whatever, when my backlog finally runs out, or actually it'll probably never run out because I'll just keep adding to it. But I'll probably use, since the videos will be like 30 seconds each, I'll probably get like an hour, hour and a half worth of twilight. I'll probably use the one video for basically that entire series, at least for the next couple of years. Oh yeah, and then that's one other thing I wanted to talk about. I don't want to reuse any stock footage, and what I mean by that is every second that's being played in a video, I don't want it to be played in another video, or again in that same video. That's not to say that I can't use part of a stock footage for several videos. Like if I get 2 hours of looking at a stream, that doesn't mean I can't use it for several videos. But it does mean that if I get 2 hours of looking at a stream, and then I get 5 videos is 2 hours long, that doesn't mean I can just rearrange it a couple times and reuse footage and make it for 7 hours. I mean, I know people probably won't notice if it's just trickling stream or trees blowing in the wind or something like that, but I'll notice, and I don't want to do it. That's not to say, I'm not entirely sure if I'm going to delete the footage or not. I might want to like do something where I release it as free stock footage. I know some people do that, like they get this amazing stock footage and then they're just like, yeah, public domain, you can have it. So I might do something like that. In the very least, I'll probably get my old 500 gigabyte flash drive and save some of my favorite stock footage. And even if I use it, I'll just like put something in my will or something saying like, when I die, whoever wants it can have it. Or, you know, like upload it or something. Hopefully by then, 500 gigabytes you'll be able to do off a phone. But, you know, just my favorite stock footage, and then whoever wants it happen. I might end up doing that, probably will, before I die, but I think in the very least my plan is pretty much find the favorite stock footage, let whoever has it use it, and then whatever's left on whatever flash drive I have for videos I haven't made yet, also release that into the public domain. If I have enough money to get someone to do that after my death, then I'll have someone do that. Because I'm pretty sure you'd have to pay someone to do that. So yeah. Next thing's next. Pretty much I think that's it. Those are the updates to the channel. I kind of just decided that instead of waiting for my 6 terabyte hard drive or the 4 to be sent back and the 6 to actually come, instead of waiting for that, I decided I'm just gonna record this and get onto the editing process and hope that I won't use up all 200 gigabytes before I have to start deleting stuff. Actually, I can put it onto the 500, but that won't last long. That'll be, I've already used like 400 of it or something, so that might last me, but you know, I have basically 300 gigabytes for the next like 2 or 3 weeks until the 6 comes. So yeah. Alright, so I guess this is still a Neo vlog, so enjoy the dogs. Alright, sorry if you hear some sort of fan noise in the background. That would be my laptop. It has a very loud fan, but, you know, that's some of the least important, even for first world problems. As to why this video sounds different overall, it's because I'm recording it a couple days later. I realized that in that original video, I didn't bring up my new audio setup. I'm just going to tack this onto the end of it because my first stock footage, which I'll be using the stock footage that I got the first time, just setting my laptop up and pointing a camera, or pointing my USB camera at a little stream with a stick bouncing around inside of it. I'll be using that. Still don't entirely know if I'll be using it in order, but I have it listed in order, so I might. And I'll be starting with video 01. So, yeah. As to this audio, okay, that should be better. I set my laptop to sleep mode, and I'm pretty sure I didn't just lose my stuff, but I just got it a couple days ago, so I don't really know how the sleep mode works on this thing yet. I mentioned early in the video that you should be able to hear me amazingly. In fact, that video was full of peaking, but that's because I was talking kind of loud, because the wind was kind of loud, and I didn't think, well, okay, first thing I should explain is that I was formerly, for my audio setup, for the audio side of the video, which of course isn't the major part, I was having a lot of problems convincing my laptop that yes, in fact, my headphones not only had a microphone, but should be used as the primary microphone instead of the camera's microphone, which it just kept thinking was great, even though, and it kind of was. I could have used it. It wouldn't have been that much worse if I had pointed it directly at my face. Instead, it was pointed towards whatever stream, and you just couldn't hear me really well. The thing is, audio was hard to figure out what I should do. There was, of course, the problems with the setup, but I probably could have kept recording it, I could go to the library like I am right now and record the audio, although that's not the best solution. In fact, it's not even that good of a solution, but it would have functioned, and I could have kept doing it on my laptop. That part didn't have to be done outside. But it didn't, the whole point of this new setup was that, and this major update video, I'm actually currently in the middle of making, when I realized that I just didn't talk about the audio, which, yeah, I do actually watch through my videos to make sure I know how much I ramble because I have to watch it too. Yeah, so, yeah, the thing is, the whole idea about the setup is that I can do it anywhere. Maybe not the editing part, but I can do the actual making of the content anywhere at any time. And part of that is having a whole lot of battery life. And actually, there's another product I should have mentioned, a battery backup. I actually had one for my phone. It had 5,000 mAh. mAh is how these things are measured. You don't really need to worry about that, except to know that bigger is better. 5,000, I don't know how. There's people who understand, and I was reading these forums of people who understand exactly how much 5,000 is, but I'll give you this for reference. My phone is a LG G Flex 2, so it kind of eats up power, but this thing was able to charge it up and have like 10% power after completely charging it up. So yeah, 5,000 is well within the range of good enough. That said, I wanted to get a monster because, again, anytime, anywhere. And because you can't, there just really isn't any cameras with a whole lot of internal battery. The best I found was one that you're supposed to put on the bottom side of your sailboat so that you can see what's underwater, and it had a 6-hour internal battery life, but it had a really bad camera that maxed out at 720p, and it really wasn't 720p. It was like that camera I got for $5 that filmed at 240p, but I guess they still called that 720p, and it had 6 hours. You could record for 6 hours. Instead, I got the action cam because all the other factors other than the battery were great, including the price. But actually, that under your sailboat camera, I guess it makes sense because if you have a sailboat, you're not exactly strapped for cash anyways, chances are. But it was like $139. Which actually is what, if I would have gotten the current model of this action cam, which I think is like the 300 or something, AS300, and I got it brand new, it would have cost about that amount, but I didn't. So as to that, I had it, my newest, it's in my, oh, I don't actually have it with me right now, but then I was just gonna edit videos today, not make them. But actually, I probably should have grabbed it anyways. Whatever. It has my new one that I ordered. It's heavy. It's like 3 pounds, maybe 5. Well, it's heavy anyways for a battery backup, but it has 30,000 mAh. The whole idea about this one that I got is that you charge it up once, and it took me 2 days. Well, it took me 2 nights. Is that you charge it up once and then forget it's in your backpack for like a month and a half. You can use it. I don't mean forget it in the way that you never use it. I mean forget it in the way that you never forget to take it out and charge it, because that's just how much 30,000 is. So with that, and with the like 1 hour of battery life that my camera can get on its own, you know, I get something like, I could probably film for like a day, and with the 17 hours, I could probably fill up the 17 hours my new 200 gigabyte SIM card I just got would film. So if I found a really great spot and I was like, all right, let's just record a day's worth of this spot, I could do it. I'm not saying that'll happen because I'd have to be within 15 feet or so of that one spot for that day, but it could happen. It might happen. Who knows? Maybe I'll take a trip to someplace fun like New York City, and I'll get a nice, my hotel or motel or whatever will have a nice skyline photo, and I'll just record it for a day. That might happen. So in which case I can do that. But the real main idea was that when I'm recording stuff, I can just pull it out, click the button, and see, oh, I haven't charged it in 2 months, but I've still got 30% left on it, and that's like, you know, that's 10 hours of filming right there, so I'm fine. All right, so that's enough on that. The one thing I wanted to say about the audio is just that my solution to the audio isn't that great, but if I'm talking at a sort of low talking voice, you can hear me just fine, which is, I mean, in a basically soundproofed room, you can. I got this isn't an ad. I mean, there aren't ads on this channel. Who if someone's willing to advertise on this channel, I mean, I don't know, contact me. The fact that you're watching is good enough for me to plug you, but it's a newer Neewer hands-free clip-on mini lapel microphone. Anyways, it's one of those ones where you have a little clip and you pin it to your jacket. I actually thought you're supposed to pin these to your, like the top of your, right next to your neck. And it turns out if you do that, it peaks like crazy. Earlier in the video, I mentioned that you should be able to hear me amazingly, but I wasn't remembering. I found the exact perfect spot, which is that I have to pin it right next to my belly button. And if I do that and I talk at a voice like this, you can sound me way better. You can hear me much better than you could with just my headphones. Maybe not noticeably better to you or to me even, but I didn't spend a whole bunch on the audio. That was the whole point. I knew that the audio was the least excusable expense, so I didn't really spend a huge amount on it. Now maybe that's a major mistake, but I spent enough to make it mobile and at least moderately high quality. This Neewer microphone I got, as it happens, you can get 3 of them for $7 from Neewer's website. I actually found that they had a deal on sale when I was buying it, where it was something like 12 for $20, and I did it. So that's nice. Or no, maybe it was I don't know. I got a whole bunch of them anyways, and yeah. So if they break or whatever, it's no big deal. Apparently, though, these are considered to be the absolute minimum possible quality to do anything professional. So if you're on the local news or whatever, this is probably your go-to mic. But if you're on national TV, this is the if everything else is broken mic. That said, the fact that this is still good enough for national TV is great. As to the other part of mobility, obviously I'm not walking around here or wandering around this little box with my laptop in hand. So what I actually ended up getting is a Pyle, P-Y-L-E, PVR 300. Pyle being the company, PVR 300 being the model. I think it's a Spanish company because it came preloaded with these audio sets just so that you could see how it records and how it sounds with its little built-in speaker. Either way, it's probably the most functioning device I have bought, for all that it was $20 or it was $30, I think, brand new, but I got mine used and it was 15. Honestly, the thing is, it doesn't have any problems. It does everything I expected it to do pretty well. Apparently, though, people spend a lot of money on audio because that's the thing. I understand people would get these internal things so that you don't have to get the external mic. You can just get, you have this metal thing with these weird horns sticking out the top of it, and you can just hear better than your ears. You can hear something across the room better than your ears could with your head pressed up right next to it. It's just amazing. It's also something like $400 or something. And my main thought about that was, I'm not the best about treating technology with respect, and by that I mean carrying around a custom case for every single thing, not jostling it too much. I mean, I'm on a bike, so I'm confined to my backpack. And there's limited space in there. There's limited space in there if I didn't have textbooks and notebooks and existential crises to carry around on my back anyways, but I do. So, anyways, this little audio recorder is kind of great because it has 4 gigabytes of internal memory. I actually got a little micro SD card. It can't handle anything bigger than an 8 gigabyte, but that's not really a problem considering I figured it out, and between the two of them, I can record something like 66 to 67 hours worth of audio just without emptying it out at any point between the 4 gigabytes of internal memory and the 8 gigabyte micro SD card I have with it. So this thing is amazing. Not to mention that the internal mic is actually decent and the audio playback is decent. So, yeah, I'd say this is overall the best thing I got, and it was, other than maybe the microphone that I have it plugged in with, the cheapest. Actually, I think it was the cheapest because I'm pretty sure I spent 20 bucks on the microphone just because I got a whole bunch of them. Yeah, so I wanted to explain overall this new setup. Oh, and that's the thing, I haven't actually charged it once yet. I mean, I've had it plugged into my computer, and I guess that counts. One thing I like about it is that it has sort of one of those slide out things, so it has a huge, just USB, like a mouse, one of those, like a flash drive. It's basically flash drive shaped and sized, except it records audio, plays back audio, has a port for both a headphone and a microphone separately, which is nice. Has a little micro SD port, and has, I don't know, on Amazon people were saying like it's really hard to control, but it took me 5 minutes, so I don't know, maybe I'm just a genius. But yeah, I like it, and that's the audio setup, and that's why, yeah, I was talking really loudly outside, so that's why you couldn't actually hear me amazingly, and that's why you can probably hear me amazingly right now. Alright, so the next video, I know I don't like making two vlogs or two videos of the same kind right after each other, but I'm going to give up on that for the next, I think, 3 videos, where I'm going to make the major updates series. And next video, I'm going to be talking about how my new setup, not the side you don't see, but the side you do see, if you can count it as that. You don't see how I make these videos, but it's still important to talk. To understand how these videos are made, it's still important to talk about the tools I have to make them. Next, I'll be talking about one tool, which is my laptop, and I'll be talking about the different components of my laptop briefly. I mean, you can watch videos on what parts of laptops are important, what parts of computers are important, like RAM and stuff like that. I'm not really going to stress that too much, except to say what parts are the most important for video editing that I've found. Again, I'm not a genius in this regard either, obviously, but I know a little bit, and I'm going to try to share that little bit. And I'll also be talking about editing, and I'll also be talking about all the other different aspects of the video making process which have to be done after the content is made. So yeah, so again, this is still a Neo vlog, so enjoy the dogs. All right, so I suppose he's saying goodbye for us. Yeah.